In 2006, Elizabeth Taylor sat down with Larry King and revealed something shocking. After Michael Jackson called her in tears in 1984, they talked on the phone for 3 hours. And from that moment on, according to author Donald Bogle, they talked every single day. For over 25 years, the most famous actress in Hollywood history and the most famous entertainer on earth spoke to each other daily. They told each other everything. And when Michael died on June 25th, 2009, Elizabeth Taylor tweeted, "My heart, my mind are broken. I loved Michael with all my soul, and I can't imagine life without him." This is the story of Hollywood's most unlikely friendship, and why it made perfect sense. It began with a misunderstanding in 1984. Elizabeth Taylor went to see Michael Jackson perform during his Victory Tour in Los Angeles. She brought 30 people with her. Michael had arranged a special box seat for her, but when she got there, the view was terrible. She couldn't see the stage, so she left halfway through and went home to watch it on television. Michael heard that Elizabeth Taylor had walked out of his concert. He was devastated. He called her the next day, in tears, apologizing, thinking he'd done something wrong. "Michael heard that I had left halfway through," Elizabeth told Larry King. "He called me the next day and was like in tears because he had heard that I'd walked out. I hadn't walked out. I just couldn't see anything." She explained what happened, and they started talking. That phone call lasted 3 hours. "And then we talked on the phone for about 3 hours, Elizabeth said. "And from there on in, we talked more and more on the phone." According to Donald Bogle, author of Elizabeth and Michael, The Queen of Hollywood and the King of Pop, they talked every single day after that. Something magical happened during those phone conversations. Michael and Elizabeth became hooked on each other. The world thought it was strange. A 62-year-old Hollywood legend and a 25-year-old pop star. What could they possibly have in common? Everything. Elizabeth Taylor became famous at age 12 when she starred in National Velvet in 1944. Michael Jackson became famous at age 8 when the Jackson 5 signed to Motown in 1969. Both of them had their childhoods stolen by fame. Both of them understood what it meant to live in a fishbowl where the entire world watched your every move. One of the reasons I think Michael Jackson and I are so close is because neither one of us had a childhood, Elizabeth told Barbara Walters in 1997. And we can relate to that and wonder at how we got by. In a 1992 interview with Johnny Carson, Elizabeth explained they both came from show business families. They both started careers at very young ages. Young fame was isolating. They'd both gone through the loneliness of that. Michael understood exactly what she meant. In a 1993 home video, he said, "I've met a lot of people in my life, and very few are real friends. I can probably count them on one hand. Elizabeth is one of the most loving, loyal, caring people that I know." He also said, "I can really relax with her because we've lived the same life and experienced the same thing." Michael Jackson called Elizabeth Taylor a warm, cuddly blanket that I love to snuggle up to and cover myself with. I can confide in her and trust her. He also said, "Elizabeth and I were like brother and sister, mother and son, lovers. It's a potpourri. It's something very special." He wasn't exaggerating. Elizabeth became family. When Michael bought Neverland Ranch in 1987, he built an entire suite for her called the Elizabeth Taylor Suite with an enormous bed. She stayed there regularly. They'd have what Michael called great picnics. They'd watch movies together. They'd just talk. "She's a friend," Michael said. "She's Mother Teresa, Princess Diana, the Queen of England, and Wendy. We have great picnics. It's so wonderful to be with her." Elizabeth felt the same way. In 1988, she said, "He is honesty personified, and he is so giving that at times there is very little to protect that beautiful inner core that is his essence." She called him painfully honest and vulnerable to the point of pain, and she gave him something nobody else could: complete loyalty. "He has been hurt by so many people," she told Barbara Walters in 2002. "I think I'm the only person in his life that has not betrayed him." Michael's mother, Catherine, reportedly once said that Elizabeth Taylor stole my son. But it wasn't theft, it was refuge. Elizabeth gave Michael a safe place to be himself. Their friendship wasn't just phone calls and visits. They showered each other with extravagant gifts. Michael gave Elizabeth a 17-carat diamond ring, diamond bracelets, diamond necklaces, ruby-encrusted watches. According to Donald Bogle, for Michael, it was money well spent so he could be part of classic old Hollywood with its greatest star. Elizabeth gave him bizarre gifts in return. She bought him an elephant named Gypsy, shipped in from Asia, that lived at Neverland Ranch. She gave him movie memorabilia. She gave him jewelry. But the most important thing she gave him was her voice. When the world turned against Michael Jackson, Elizabeth Taylor stood in front of cameras and defended him without hesitation. In 1993, Michael Jackson was accused of child molestation. The allegations dominated every news cycle. His reputation was destroyed overnight. People he thought were friends disappeared. Endorsement deals evaporated. Elizabeth Taylor didn't disappear. She stood by him publicly and privately. In 2003, when Michael was arrested and charged with child molestation and intoxicating a minor, Elizabeth was there. Even after he was acquitted on all counts in 2005, she continued to push back against the public perception. "I've been there when his young nephews were there and we were all in the bed watching television," Elizabeth said on Larry King Live in 2006. "There was nothing abnormal about it. There was no touchy-feely going on." She wasn't afraid to say it. She'd been at Neverland. She'd seen how Michael interacted with children, and she knew the truth. Michael never forgot that loyalty. While the rest of the world questioned him, Elizabeth believed him. While tabloids wrote headlines calling him a monster, Elizabeth called him brilliant, giving, and honest. Here's something most people don't know. Elizabeth Taylor is the one who gave Michael Jackson his most famous title. In 1989, Elizabeth presented Michael with the Soul Train Heritage Award. During her introduction, she called him the King of Pop. It was the first time anyone had publicly used that phrase to describe him, and it stuck. Michael later said he didn't give himself that title. Elizabeth did. And coming from her, one of the most iconic figures in Hollywood history, it meant everything. She saw him as royalty. He saw her the same way. According to Donald Bogle, Michael became obsessed with Elizabeth in the early 1980s. She was the embodiment of Hollywood history. She represented everything glamorous and legendary about the golden age of cinema. But it wasn't one-sided. Elizabeth needed Michael just as much. By the 1980s, her film career was over. Her 8 marriages had become tabloid fodder. She'd battled addiction, health problems, and constant media scrutiny. Michael gave her friendship without judgment. He gave her respect. According to Donald Bogle, they had intense reunions every few months, and they talked on the phone daily. Even in Michael's darkest years, Elizabeth was there. When his finances collapsed, when his health declined, when he became a recluse hiding from the world, she never stopped calling. She never stopped defending him. On June 25, 2009, Michael Jackson died at age 50. He was found unresponsive at his rented mansion in Los Angeles. Paramedics couldn't revive him. He was pronounced dead at 2:44 p.m. Elizabeth Taylor was devastated. She tweeted, "My heart, my mind are broken. I loved Michael with all my soul, and I can't imagine life without him. We had so much in common, and we had such loving fun together." She also wrote, "Of course I'm still grieving for Michael. I always will." Elizabeth attended Michael's funeral on September 3rd, 2009. She was 77 years old, in a wheelchair, dealing with her own declining health. It was one of her last public appearances. She sat in the front row, mourning the loss of her best friend. Elizabeth Taylor died on March 23rd, 2011. She was 79 years old. The cause of death was congestive heart failure. She was buried at Forest Lawn Cemetery in Glendale, California, the same cemetery where Michael Jackson is entombed. Even in death, they're together. Their friendship lasted over 25 years. From that 3-hour phone call in 1984 until Michael's death in 2009, they were inseparable. They talked every single day. They told each other everything. They defended each other when the world attacked. They gave each other the one thing fame had stolen from both of them, someone who understood. Michael once said about Elizabeth, "When we first started talking on the phone, she told me she felt as if she had known me for years. I felt the same way." Elizabeth said Michael was the purest, most giving love I've ever known. The world thought their friendship was odd. They didn't understand how a Hollywood legend and a pop icon could be so close. But Michael and Elizabeth didn't care what the world thought. Here's what nobody talks about. Elizabeth Taylor gave Michael Jackson something more valuable than the elephant, more valuable than the jewelry, more valuable than the King of Pop title. She gave him loyalty when the entire world abandoned him. In 1993, when the first allegations hit, celebrities ran from Michael. Endorsement deals disappeared. Friends stopped returning calls. But Elizabeth got on national television and said, "I've been there. I know the truth." In 2003, when he was arrested on live television, humiliated in front of the world, Elizabeth didn't hide. She defended him louder. And when he died in 2009, she didn't release a carefully crafted PR statement. She tweeted from her heart, "I can't imagine life without him." That's what 25 years of daily phone calls creates. Not friendship, family. If you want to hear more untold stories about the legends who changed music history, subscribe to King of Pop and hit that like button. Stay tuned for more content.